Check, mic check, 1, 2.
Yo, is this thing on or what?
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Platform Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dex. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, like the videos, repost, do all that kind of stuff, get that algorithm going. Today, we're sitting here in Madison. I'm at one of my best friend's house. He is letting us record in his beautiful home. One of the best Badgers of all time, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, one of the best tight end, receiver, did it all, except for block. Travis Beckum on the show. How's it going, Trav?
It was going good until you said that. I can block now.
I couldn't hype you up too much. I gotta bring you down a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that intro was dope. I was feeling good about myself, and then you get to throw that in there. It's all good, baby. It's all good.
So how's it going, man? How you been? I haven't seen you in a while. We're having this weekend to be able to hang out, catch up, see all the good things that you're doing. You brought me over to a basketball game yesterday. Kind of got that VIP treatment, which Travis Beckum deserves. So not me so much, but it was amazing, and it's good to have some fun here. Going to the football game tonight. How's everything going? Tell the people.
Everything
about
is good. Everything is good. Life is good. Life is great. Obviously, I got my best friends next to me, my two dogs, and everything as well. Obviously, the Badgers play tonight. A big needed win here for tonight, and then obviously we took you to the basketball game last night. Kind of showing you a little bit about what I do with the Badgers and how I'm incorporated in that role. And yeah, like you said, it's good to see you. It's been a while, and I'm looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, nice night game. I have not been to a Badgers night game in forever, and obviously they aren't having the greatest year. So these next two games are games that they're going to need to be able to become bowl eligible, keep that streak alive. But yeah, obviously you being a Wisconsin Badger, being a homegrown Wisconsin kid, growing up, going to Oak Creek, tell us a little bit about just kind of your high school life leading up to getting recruited by some of the top schools in the nation, and kind of what's that like being courted around to some of these different schools, what those recruiting trips are like, and then what ultimately made you choose Wisconsin.
Yeah. So obviously, I think from being from Milwaukee was a huge influence on me going to the University of Wisconsin. Had a ton of offers. I think my first offer was from Miami my sophomore year, and it was almost like a no-brainer for me because the legacy that Barry Alvarez had since when he came in the early or late 80s, early 90s, in the way that he changed his program. So it was almost a no-brainer for me as far as where I wanted to attend college, but also wanted to test the waters in regards to going to these visits. Took a visit to Oklahoma, took a visit to Tennessee. Amazing programs. Was supposed to go to Ohio State. Full circle now. Coach Fickle was actually recruited me as a linebacker coming out of high school, and now he's the head coach of the Badgers. And then I was supposed to go to Florida State and in Miami, but the trips were awesome. Obviously, that was in the era when Bob Stoops was there, and then we even earlier when you were singing Rocky Top, like that's one of those things when on my visit, like that's something that you learn. It's ingrained into your mind as soon as you leave that university on your visit. So I won't get too much into details as far as like what went on those visits. But clearly it wasn't good enough to make me change my perception and make me attend those universities. So, but yeah, I wanted my legacy to be from Wisconsin. I wanted to be able to tell my children in the future that like this was my legacy. This is where I went to school. This is where I'm from. And that's how I wanted to end my journey. I'm still not done yet. Obviously I'm still with the university. And being able to be a representation of this university is huge for me.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to live that legacy out. And but yeah, just being from Wisconsin was solely the main reason why I went to school here.
Yeah. Were all the recruiting trips, because at the time, I mean, you were what, number 6 linebacker in the nation out of high school,
Yep.
and was every trip they wanted you all to play defense at every school originally?
Yeah, because everyone wanted me to play defense because there wasn't much film on me playing offense. It was almost to where like it was like Coach Cook, my high school coach at the time, probably arguably one of the best coaches in the country. He would just say, Travis, line up at tight end and go run straight. There was no plays. There was nothing.
It's just backyard, just playground.
Exactly. Just run straight. And then, and it's crazy because, I mean, I never practiced that during the week. So it was just like you being a little kid and just knowing what to do when the ball's up in the air, obviously catching at its highest point. And so it was solely recruiting me as a linebacker.
Yeah. And then Wisconsin, you come on, not really playing defense. Ultimately, it was you that asked to switch and play on the offense side of the ball. How does that happen? What happens in practice, like that first day where they finally let you in?
Yeah, it was. I mean, again, me being 6 years old, telling my mom that I'm going to play in the NFL, and telling my friends and other family members, it was only my mom that believed me.
Franny didn't?
Well, Franny was young at the time, so
Yeah.
she didn't really know what the NFL was. She just So she was still trying to learn her ABCs, let alone the NFL. It was me sitting and watching the guys like Brett Favre and Andre Rison and Leroy Butler, which is insane now that I'll do card signings and those guys will be there. So, but it was when I was that age to where I knew that I was going to play in the NFL. I knew going into college, I wanted to play football.
Yeah.
And obviously the defensive side was really what I knew. And came to Wisconsin as a number 6 linebacker in the country. But then it was also the number 100 athlete overall. So the athleticism was there, but defense was really where my niche was. And my freshman year, I didn't play much. And I was so used to being that guy, so used to being dependent on. And once I wasn't able to contribute my freshman year, because I was at linebacker. Halfway through the year, they moved to defensive end where I played a little bit more as a reserve. But that's not who I was. Again, this comes back to me wanting to leave my legacy here and me thinking like, man, this isn't a legacy for me. So it was going into spring ball. Actually, you know what? It was going into the bowl game my freshman year. I think we played Auburn. And I was on the scout team, and I realized obviously I wasn't playing much on defense, and I know that Jason Posiak, Owen Daniels were both leaving the next year, and they're both tight ends. And so I'm in practice and I'm playing scout offense against our defense and giving those guys looks, and man, I'm out there cooking them.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, like, where has this been? And it was really when I got to realize, like, man, this is really fun catching the football, making plays. This almost brought me back to where I felt like how my heart felt when I was at Oak Creek.
Yeah.
And people depended on me again. And I was like, man, I can really see myself doing this. So then I what's wrong with you?
She wants to come over by me.
Jesus. So I went to Coach Bielema because Coach Alvarez was my coach my freshman year, and then he ended up retiring, and then Brett Bielema took over.
Yep.
But I went to Brett Bielema, and I'm like, Coach, what do you think about me playing tight end? And he laughed. I'm like, what the hell?
I wouldn't tell a joke.
I'm like, and I kept the same face. I'm like, I was confused as to what was so funny. So he was like, oh, okay, well, we'll try it out. So went to Coach Chris, and Coach Chris was all for it. And we go to we go in the next season, and spring ball was great. And we go in, and we're going into my sophomore season. Obviously, this is fresh for me. This is new for me. And going into like the 5th game of the season, like I only had about 5 or 6 catches.
Yeah.
And it was the Michigan game where we ended up losing the game, but it was my first time that really, like, I felt like, again, my legacy could be continued because John Stocco threw the ball to me. I think I had like 3 catches that game. There was one like right before halftime, caught a good ball over the middle, got out of bounds, put us in position to score. And then towards the end of the game, again, we didn't end up winning the game, but there were 2 catches in that game that I caught on the sidelines to put us in position to actually win the football game that I never felt that from a quarterback. Again, I'm a defensive guy. So that was really the time that that set my career as a tight end. That's the first game that put it on the map.
Was it because of like you starting to get confidence in yourself, or like you feeling trust and like confidence from Stocco finally being able to like get you the ball and get you a little bit worked into the offense?
That's a good question. I think both.
Yeah.
I think, and that was the biggest thing. I think that for these young receivers, and you watch the guys like the young receivers now with Tanner Mordecai, and you have to have that chemistry. You have to have that trust. You have to have that mindset that you know where he knows where you're going to be, and to where he can just throw the ball up and you're going to be there. And so just gaining that trust with him continued the rest of the season to where it put me, I mean, again, I went from a defensive linebacker to I was number 2 and ended up the season number 2 in the country in receptions, number 2 in yardage. And then it was just
tight end.
As a tight, yeah, it was crazy because, like, again, I knew I wanted to have a legacy of playing football, and I was like, man, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and it ended up being tight end.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that's got to suck when you're going with the expectations of you're playing at a huge Division I school, one of the most prestigious colleges. You want to go there to play. So being kind of in and out, not really knowing or having a role on the defensive side, like you just want to make an impact however you think you can. And it's crazy to see just the transition of being that highly recruited of a linebacker and then still to end up what you were as one of the greatest tight ends of all time in Wisconsin, where you're not even recruited, even thinking about that at all.
It's truly a blessing. Like, and again, like it was to the point where, again, you have me at number 6 linebacker in the country, and then being arguably one of the best tight ends to ever play at the university. Obviously, I got some of my guys over here.
I saw the jersey collection starting to grow a little bit.
Yeah,
you got Lance
Kendricks over there, Garrett Graham.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on Jake Ferguson to send me my jersey. So, Jake, if you're watching, send me my damn jersey.
I would love if he's watching. I'd love to have him on it, man. He's a talented guy.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you know this or not. He's Barry Alvarez's nephew.
Do you think?
I'm just saying because of how often they always say it on the broadcast. It's literally like every 5 minutes.
That went right over my head. It's, you know, what's actually funny about those jerseys is that first jersey was from Lance. Signs it, sends it to me.
Who's a Milwaukee guy too.
Milwaukee guy, yeah. Rufus King. Garrett sends me the jersey and doesn't sign it.
I was moving.
I'm like, bro, what's the point of?
Yeah, I could have just bought this.
And then I text him, like, bro, why didn't you sign the jersey? Oh, I didn't know you wanted me to sign it. Send it back, bruh.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's good. I look forward to having all of the guys that played at the university in that tight end role.
Yeah.
And then have gone to the next level. I want all the guys to be in my basement.
Do you think that Wisconsin is tight end you?
Well, I think the guys we have now, I really like Clay Cundiff. Obviously, unfortunately, he had several injuries, the same injury, back-to-back years. And Hayden Rucci is my boy. He's a blocking tight end. He's a hand in the dirt guy. not my style, obviously. But awesome dude, great athlete. I think that as a blocking tight end, that he has potential to be great.
Yeah.
And he's got to be put in the right scheme. But as far as tight end I mean, if you look back at the scheme that Phil Longo was running at North Carolina, and then Luke Fickell last year had two tight ends that were All-Americans, both semifinalists for the John Mackey Award, which is the best tight end in the country award. So we have the potential. Now we just got to start getting guys that could fit that role.
Yeah.
Obviously, we were running a spread offense. It would have been nice to have the kid that committed here and then ended up decommitting and going to UCLA, the kid out of Wanakee.
Yeah.
Great athlete. More of a slot receiver, H-back type. But yeah, I think we have the potential to get back there because we had a really good streak going. But Clay got hurt, obviously, and then Hayden decided to put his hands in the dirt and start blocking. so he kind of ruined that for us. So
when Fickell comes here, then you get Longo too. You see that the Badgers in these spring ball, I mean, they're throwing passes all over the field.
Yeah.
When you start seeing that, does that just kind of make you just wish, man, I would love to play in this kind of offense?
Straight peanut butter and jealous.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where it's like, man, I would thrive in this offense.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, like I was still in the area and led the nation in yardage, and second in the nation in receptions, and like that was an era when we still ran the football. PJ Hill, John Clay. I remember PJ Hill. I always call him Big Butt. He had the biggest butt ever. I don't know if you ever seen his butt, but he's got a really big butt.
I remember watching him. Yeah,
but that was still the era of us running the football.
Yeah,
and it was just, again, it goes back to Stocko, like building that trust, building that chemistry. And it was one of those things where the guys knew where I was going to be. And then Coach Chris was extremely intelligent as far as putting me in the best position to have success. Like he really revolved that offense around me. I was in school. It was like Aaron Hernandez and I was doing reverses and throwing the football, and that's not known for tight ends.
Yeah.
Tight ends didn't do that.
No.
But yeah, I'm excited for the future for these guys. Yeah, I'm pumped. Hopefully we get the win tonight, and a lot of pressure.
I'm excited to watch it. I mean, it's whether you're having a good year, bad year, it's still, you're so invested into it as a fan of Wisconsin sports, and the expectations this year were very, very high. Yeah. So that's what kind of sucks from a fan perspective, and I'm sure obviously from you being a little bit closer to the team and talking to these guys, like the expectations are so high, but it's there at times. Like you watch that Ohio State game and it's like, man, like we're close in this game.
Yep.
So it shows that the potential is there, and then we just got to keep it rolling into these next games and this next year too.
Yeah, and that's tough. I mean, and you hit it right on the head. The potential is there. And Ohio State, what I felt like as a program, as a team, from an offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, that was our most filled game. Like that was we really, as much as you can do for a loss, like we really clicked. We really checked those boxes. And then you go the next week against an Indiana team that I didn't even know was possible to lose to. I was golfing at the time because obviously we're playing Indiana, so I felt like the guy is an easy game. And
like, this is a W, all right.
And then you go and lose to Northwestern at home. It was like the trajectory was here, and I really felt like, man, we're almost as forming our identity because I think in the beginning of the season we didn't know who we were. A lot of college teams didn't know who they were. Everybody was on the hype train with all the hype with Fickell coming in, and then you watch the hype with obviously Deion and what he's doing at Colorado, and then all of a sudden, like, no one's talking about Deion. Like it's people want a story of when people are being great, but like let's see what people are watching. Let's see what we're doing behind closed doors. Like, how are we making this program better? And the trajectory that we were going was awesome. But the last 2 weeks, even still against Ohio State, the last 3 weeks were bad. I mean, we went into the game 5-2 against Ohio State, and now we're 5-5.
Yep.
It's unacceptable. But we got a big game tonight. Obviously, Nebraska has a ton of tradition. It's a very punch you in the mouth type of style football. And I'm excited for these guys, and hopefully they embrace this challenge.
It's good. I mean, we'll see. I mean, the whole landscape of college football has completely changed, obviously, with NIL, and that's kind of something that you're able to work with now in your new position. Obviously, you didn't have NIL deals when you were playing. If you were to be able to brand yourself and get a deal with whatever you want while you were playing, what would be your go-to brand deal?
You're looking at it. I'd be a model, like whether it be underwear model, whether it be like
you'd be in the Calvin Klein commercials.
Maybe I would like snacks or something like Snack City, or like I was a snack before people started calling.
Before it was a thing.
Yeah, so that would have been my NIL deal.
And that would be the brand name. Maybe like those like cologne commercials where you're. Oh, I mean,
cologne commercials.
Yeah,
you want me to ride a horse, like an Old Spice commercial? You want me to ride a horse with no shirt on? And
I could see you doing it. The little like sweater like tied across the neck.
See, I was more so thinking like doing like a commercial, like me just laying like in the pantry, like
as to play off the snacks. Yeah. But like, what is it gonna? Are you branding like boxers or like what?
No, branding snacks. Like snacks are good. I mean, you think about stuff like obviously Marshawn Lynch, like with him and Skittles.
Yeah. Touche. Yeah.
Maybe I can be like. Maybe I can be a huge part of like interior design or something. Like Tim O'Brien built my house. Like maybe I could work with Tim O'Brien. Like I can be in the pantry just as a snack. Think outside the box, Declan.
What kind of deals are you working on for some of these guys? I mean, like what are some of the good things that you're able to do for the athletes that are here now and how you're able to help them?
So it's actually really cool because I get a chance to be creative. Mm-hmm. And I think it's 2023 going into 2024, and I think it's one of those things where it's time to be innovative and be creative and think outside the box. So we've done a ton of stuff with obviously the women's volleyball team. Unfortunately, they lost last night, but we were number 1 in the country. Went to number 2. We were number 3, and after the loss, I'm sure we're not going to drop much. But I did a deal with. A really cool deal with Pin Seekers, which is it's almost like a top golf kind of brand. The guys are awesome over there. They're going to blow up. They wanted to incorporate the athletes. Basically, they wanted to have full range of IP usage, which is intellectual property. So if they have guys that come out, if they have football players that come out and want to take a picture. With their brand, without the deal that they have, like Pin Seekers, the company wouldn't be able to post that picture if the guys were in uniform.
Gotcha.
Or not even necessarily uniform, but if the guys had the Motion W on. Like if they had this shirt, they wouldn't be able to post it.
Yeah.
So these guys came up with a creative idea, and they have a wall. It's Pin Seekers, and then they have the Motion W at the bottom, and it's proud partner of Wisconsin Athletics. So they have an athlete that comes out there, takes a picture right in front of it. They can use that on their graphic. Yep. They can use that to their exposure. Obviously, these guys are extremely engaged with the university, with the players. Actually, it's really cool with this deal. We got it to where I'm actually able to take the guys out, and part of the deal was I can take them on the basketball team's plane out to Arizona. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like, man, like it's like the more you give back to the university, like the more like we want to scratch your back. Like it's a really awesome deal. That's one of them. And then I did deals with like construction companies, and you're like, well, how do you incorporate football players with construction companies? And they wanted to run a recruitment campaign. And so what we did was we found athletes that were engaged with construction majors.
Okay.
So this is a civil engineer major. And we used IP usage. So we had the athlete in uniform, and we're doing digital ads, digital posts. We're doing in-venue signage with the athlete in uniform, basically being a brand ambassador
For the
JF Ahern,
Yeah.
which is an awesome deal. It's extremely creative. They're very good with their marketing because some of these guys now, they just want to grab an athlete and have them represent a brand. But what's the tie-in? Like sometimes, like you can have an athlete, for instance, like Braylon Allen. You can have Braylon Allen, and he'll be on like a tire commercial, and it's like, what's the tie-in? Like what's the connection?
Like Iron Jack makes sense because it's like what he's wearing while he's working out and stuff like that.
Exactly.
But
so
yeah, you can't just like throw a tire around his waist and be like,
Yeah.
all right,
Like-
he's Michelin, there we go.
now you could do what you could do now. I'm thinking of like tractor tires. You know how you flip the tire?
Yeah, and do
That's
it
actually
with
a
like
really
working
good
out with
one.
that. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
You're
right.
welcome.
I'm gonna
You can
pitch that
I'll
next
invoice
week.
you.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough. It's a different game.
It's
like it's
completely different. It's crazy the amount of money that
Yeah.
these kids can make now while they're in school, and just being able to utilize your name, and it is you. So
Yeah.
like the fact of when you were playing, I mean, there was probably so many number 9 jerseys being sold. You're seeing absolutely none of it.
none of it. I still see them.
Yeah.
I still see them, and it's funny because, like, depending on how old the individual is that's wearing the jersey.
Yeah,
it
you
was
don't-
like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, hey man, I went up to him. Hey man, great jersey, nice jersey, love it.
He's like, who the hell are you?
And it's so funny because he had no idea, but the dudes that he was with, he was like, hey, are you Travis Beckum? And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the reason why I did. So, but yeah, it's a lot of these guys are like people, like the guys now that are playing and getting their jerseys, like they didn't know like that number 9 was the only 9 sold.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, obviously it's going to be mine, and Bryson Green has it now, but like it's, if I could have had the opportunity to get paid on that, and like it was insane, like
Yeah.
the amount of revenue that could have been brought in. I could have got a dog jersey number 9. Like we could have all been in the jersey, like 3 dogs, roof, grr. Like but I'm happy. I'm happy for the guys, and I'm happy to be an asset to these guys.
Yeah.
And be able to come up with strategies to where I can help them put some cash in their pocket.
I mean, that's even a bigger thing too, of even outside of just getting deals for them and just working with them. I feel like you're able to be there as a much bigger influence, to be able to give them, just be an advisor for them of what to do. I mean, we've talked about it where a lot of these guys, like, yeah, the first thing that they're thinking is, hey, I'm going to play sports. I'm going to the pros. Well, what happens if that doesn't work out? And you have to be planned for a life after sports. And it sucks. And it's something that a lot of these guys don't want to think about, but I feel like that's something where you work with these kids and you're like, hey, for what's not going to work, like, you guys have to be prepped.
Yeah.
You have to have another avenue.
Absolutely. And that's great. And that what I do with the NIL is awesome. But my biggest thing is that people ask me now, like, what's your dream? And it's different for me because I've already lived my dream.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, Travis, like, well, what's next? And now I'm setting goals. And it's like right now it is I have goals. Like, I want to be rookie of the year in my company. I hit my quota and I want to go above and beyond. Like, just because I knew that I did that, like, I knew like I was just setting the floor for myself. And I never like to say that the sky is the limit. The sky isn't the limit when there's footprints on the moon. So I wanted to, again, this goes back all the way back to the beginning, is where I wanted to live my legacy. And now my goal is to be an asset and an avenue, like you said, to these current athletes.
Yeah.
So I was so tunnel visioned, and I had a lot of ups and downs in my career. I really did. And it wasn't the easiest journey, but any path without obstacles probably doesn't lead anywhere anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I had a lot of stuff to overcome, and a lot of it, like it when you have tunnel vision, like all you see is football, all you see is the NFL. And there's so many opportunities to brand yourself, to meet people, to network. Like, your brand is all that you have at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you see these guys now like out messing around and I'm like, this is your legacy. Like, this is who you are. This is who people are going to remember you as. And I just knew that mine was a struggle going through it. And now I can look back and I'm like, man, I would have done this differently. I would have invested more money in this. I would have went out and instead of not going out and just introducing myself, because you never know. You can meet one person one day and spend the rest of your life with them.
Yeah.
So you just being a chameleon and being able to adapt and just having that outlook on life is what I wanted to preach to these guys. And now I have the opportunity to do it because some of these guys, I hear it from some of these companies. They're like, well, he's a great athlete, but he's not really like, he doesn't really fit our brand. Like he's not very marketable. He wasn't speaking much. And I'm like, fellas, this is an opportunity for you to set yourself up now and post football, because some of these guys now are going to make more money in college with this NIL stuff and not go and play in the pros. So hopefully they're investing in this. But now that I have the access to be able to tell them and help them with their journey, that's my goal, is to be an asset and an avenue to those guys currently.
Yeah, because it's crazy. Because if you are a huge guy at your school, it sets you up for decades down the road. Or even if you have that one big game or that one big play that Madison is going to always remember you for. It's with the way that everything works now. I mean, that's something you can come back, you can do appearances, you can charge $10,000 for an appearance.
Exactly.
And come back once a year, and that's just easy money. That's going to just be residual every single year.
Yep.
But yeah, it's awesome.
Incremental dollars. It's building your brand. Like you mean so much. Like these guys mean so much to this fan base. You would never believe it. Like I still have people that come up to me and thank me for what I did for the university. And all I did was played football. Mm-hmm. Like it was something so small, but left such a huge impact on these people's lives. Like it's unbelievable. And now I get the chance to thank season ticket holders. And obviously we've had, our last few years have been a roller coaster. And thank you for sticking with us. Like we have one of the most loyal fan bases in the world. And I love this university for that. Last week was tough because that's the first time that's the loudest I've ever heard Badger fans boo.
Boo. Yeah.
Did they deserve it? Absolutely. And I think as Badger fans, like there was a lot of built up animosity and testosterone because of the way that we've been playing against a Northwestern team. So, but yeah, it's if I can be an avenue, if I can voice my opinion, and if I'm in a room filled with 20 people and I have one person that listens, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I feel like I had an impact on somebody's day.
Yeah, it's amazing to see you actually just be able to, even yesterday, just talking to some of these players, like just catching up with AJ after the game and just hearing just a little bit of just you getting in his ear and just letting him know, like, hey, just motivating him, saying the things that you did. It's cool to just see you make an impact and be able to come full circle and give back to these athletes at the university that was able to give you so much too. You talked about the struggles for you, obviously. Post-career with Wisconsin, you went to the NFL, drafted 100th overall, went to the New York Giants, had a very successful career, I would say. I mean, you are a Super Bowl champion. Yeah. You talked about the struggles, obviously, injuries, I'm sure, is what you're alluding to. Talk about, just kind of what that's like, being drafted.
Yeah, so, again, this goes all the way back to me telling my mom that was going to be me, not even realizing that there was an actual NFL draft. I just thought that a team was just going to call me and be like, we got practice tomorrow. So it was, again, we go back to the roller coaster as well. So dislocated my shoulder. The last game of the season, my junior year, had an opportunity to come out my junior year and go to the NFL. Stayed, came back my senior year, had hamstring injuries in training camp. That boiled over into the first few games of the season. Got healthy, and then the fifth game, I think it was the fourth or fifth game of the season, my senior year, John Clay rolled up on my leg, broke my leg. So it went from me being like arguably like the number one tight end in the country to being like, okay, well, where is he going to fall down in the draft? So instead of me finishing my last semester at the university, I went off and trained, and I rehabbed my leg, and I needed to figure out a way to make myself the most valuable as I could be. Because if you think about it, like, and as terrible as it sounds, like your dream is to play in the NFL, but it's basically how do you make yourself the most marketable? It's almost like you go to the NFL combine and it's like almost like a slave auction. You have these guys up here that are basically put your hands out. Like, let me see how long, what your arm span is. And now we're going to give you this bench press and let's see how many times that you can do this. And
what'd you get? 28?
28, yeah. Yeah.
Just had to throw that out there.
243, 28 times. 243 pounds, bench pressing 225 pounds, 28 times. Boy, I was up. But
I don't know what
anyways,
the math is, but it's a lot of weight.
On a serious note. So, but yeah, so it's kind of one of those things where you have the opportunity to obviously continue to live your dream. And obviously this is a part of my journey. So ended up, like you said, being the 100th overall pick. And maybe 2 months earlier or a month earlier, I met with the Giants and they're like, well, we have 2 picks in the second round, 2 picks in the third round, and we're going to pick you at one of those picks. So I'm like, where the hell are you going to pick me? Like, just let me know. So again, I ended up being the second pick in the third round.
Yeah.
And I had all my friends and family there and we were all together, but it's like when like you watch the NFL draft and these guys call your name, that's really what it's like.
Yeah.
Like they call your name and you're like, man, it really hit. Like this finally came true. And all of that, like as far as like you being a little kid and wanting to cry and wanting to hug the family and your mom, like it was really happening. So I go back to school, or I go back to Madison that night and we go out and have a few drinks and celebrate. But it's like, man, my hard work actually finally paid off after all of the injuries. And it was tough because it was like I was on the pace to basically have a dramatic injury every year of my career. And then because it ended up, so it was junior year was shoulder surgery. Senior year was broken leg. And then rookie year was another shoulder surgery. Second year was good. No injuries, no surgeries. Third year, decided that I wanted to tear my ACL in the Super Bowl, which I'm not mad about.
It, huh?
So, and then my fourth year was my contract year, came back and was on IR, was on PUP to start the season, came back and tore cartilage in my other knee during practice. So then it was every single year. And then that year got done. And then I was supposed to sign with the Seahawks the next year. And when I was training, had sports hernia surgery.
Yep.
And then I was good then, but I really wasn't good because my body was just, it was going downhill. It was bad. And then I ended up signing with the Saints in 2014, and that was when I was with the Saints for training camp. It had the best training camp of my life, but that was when Jimmy Graham was in his prime, and Ben Watson, and there was about 5 tight ends there, and so it was a numbers game. And it was you have a great practice, and then like one of the guys one of the guys in the upper office come to you and say, hey, Travis, Coach Peyton wants to have a word with you. And you know what it is. So I'm like, damn, man. Like, so I go upstairs. I'm like, what's going on, Coach? Travis, you've done nothing but great things since you've been here. You know how this goes. This is a numbers game. I wish you the best. And as a man, it hurts. But as a man, you also have to realize that this is a business.
Mm-hmm.
They have a job to do. They have a family to provide for. And it's almost one of those things. It's like, damn, like, it really happened. And it's like, well, what's next? And it sucked because there was so much of my career, pretty much after, I would say probably after my ACL, so much of my career was in the training room and was trying to figure out ways to get my body back to where I could actually go out and actually enjoy and play football.
Mm-hmm.
It was so much in the training room and after practices, and instead of going and watching film and meeting guys, like I was in the tub trying to Epsom salt, just trying to figure out ways where my body could feel replenished. And my body didn't recover the way that it used to. And it got to the point where it was like, man, I need to find another avenue. I can't do it anymore. So,
yeah, I mean, the other avenues that you found you've been very successful at. Obviously, post NFL career, coming back home, living in Milwaukee, hanging out here. You got very, very into music. Actually, this is something I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
So when you were on the Giants, who ran the music in the locker room?
I don't know. It's probably like Brandon Jacobs.
Okay.
Brandon Jacobs was a different animal.
Yeah. You've always talked about him being like a very vocal leader.
He's an amazing dude.
Yeah.
He's very hard nosed, very strong personality, very hands-on. And I think he sees the good in people.
Yeah.
And he just has a different approach, as some people are like, hey guys, like, come on, let's go. Like Brandon's one of them dudes that smack you and be like, hey, get your shit together.
Wake the fuck up.
You're great. I've seen it before, so now I expect this out of you.
Yeah.
And that's how I like to view things. Like I hold people to what they've done. I expect certain things out of you because of what you've done in the past. Like if you can bench press 225 pounds 2 times and then you get out there one day and you can't do it, I'm like, man, get your ass over there. Let's go. It's go time. I've seen you do this before. I expect this out of you. Mm-hmm. And I just know myself is that I expect so much out of myself, and I set the bar so high, and sometimes it messes me up because I expect the same out of other
From
people.
Everyone, yeah.
And so it's like, all right, Trav, you got to take it back. But as far as the music, yeah, I think Brandon did. Brandon Jacobs really ran the music, but we weren't really like that, really like musically inclined. Like it was more so in college. We had this dude on our team. We called him Gino Beats, and he is a rapper and just a defensive lineman. Man, it's just insane. Awesome individual, but we would go to the locker room and as soon as they play on, everybody be dancing around and Gino Beats, let's go. And then we had a student on our team, Jarvis was, you never know what you get from Jarvis. Jarvis used to hide in people's locker butt naked. As soon as you open it up, he'd jump out butt naked. We'd be playing Gino Beats. Everybody be dancing around. Jarvis would run through the locker room. Gino Beats butt naked. I'm like, man, what are you doing, Jarvis? Like, put some damn pants on.
Post career, you started DJing. Very, very, very
Yep.
talented DJ. The DJ who taught me how to DJ.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we were living together, I feel like no matter what you do, you always are like, I don't know if it's the competitive mindset or just the work ethic that's been put in through the years of being competitive and playing
Yeah.
sports. But when you do something, you want to be the best at it.
Yeah.
And the hours that like you put in DJing to become as good of a DJ that you are is wild. And then now moving on to a new career path, and you're still the exact same way where you want to be the best at it.
Yeah, music was always something that was important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the music to where I can play songs where people are like, man, I haven't heard this in 15, 20 years. Like captivate people's attention and be creative and set the bar and do things that people aren't used to. Like when I started DJing and when I would randomly be in a hip hop mix or or like wherever I was at, like how randomly throwing like Vanessa Carlton, like da-na-na-na-na-na, like that just it captures people's attention, whether they liked it or not. Like I'm gonna leave an effect on somebody. But music was one of those things where I felt like, yeah, it was great to catch touchdowns and have the guys pat you on the back and help your team win. But music was one of those things where there's nothing more that makes my heart happy than playing music and seeing people dancing and singing along to what I'm playing.
Yeah.
Because at that moment, like I control what's going on. I control people's moods. I control what people do next. And like you never know. Like prior to those people coming out, seeing you play, you don't know what that person just went through. You don't know what's going on in their life. So you can play a certain song that you might not like, or that you might think might not work, but it might work for them. And that's the thing is like, guys got to realize that you're not playing for yourself. You're playing for them. Mm-hmm. Like keep those guys engaged. But music was one of those things where it was almost like the competitiveness, like you said, I always wanted to be the best. Like it wasn't to where I was like, okay, I'm better than the next guy. It was like, I'm going to make myself great. So catch up. But music was one of those things where I felt like I can go out and set the tone and have a great night and make people's nights as well. And now you do wedding, now I do corporate events, and baby showers is a thing now. So music was kind of like comparing apples to oranges, but it's like that music is like kind of like my NFL. Like that was my getaway. Like that was almost like my tunnel vision. And so just being able to have an impact on people's night.
Yeah. And you have a crazy music selection, and your taste in music is very, very wide, from country to hip hop to Latin to everything to R&B. So it's definitely all over the board. Madison has a very, very popular song, House of Pain, Jump Around. Yeah. Will you ever get sick of hearing Jump Around?
I don't think it's one of those songs where I don't really play much when I'm DJing, unless I'm doing, say for instance, I'm doing a wedding and the bride and groom like have Bucky at their wedding. Like I'll play it, but like, or I'm doing a Badger tailgate and I'll play it. But it's a historic song, and it's one of those songs to where if you have Badger fans in the building, you best believe they're going to congregate to each other once they hear that song. Like that's it. It's one of those songs where it's almost like obviously it's not on Wisconsin, but it's like a school song. Mm-hmm. Like, so.
I mean, I think it's one of the coolest traditions in all of sports. Yeah. When you see Camp Randall.
I'm going to take you on the field.
All right.
Do you want to be able to jump around on the field?
I'll jump around wherever the hell we're at.
Okay.
And I'll build me up Buttercup.
But it's different. It's different when you're on the field.
I feel like I'd be safer on the field. Like when you're in the stands.
Well, I'm not asking you to jump around in the student section or you get trampled.
No, I'm just saying like feeling the stadium shake.
Oh, yeah.
When you're in the stands and that shit's going on, it's wild.
Yeah, I did.
You talk about being in the press box.
Yeah, I did the press box last year, and I'm like, man, is this safe?
Yeah,
like they might need to restructure this. Like obviously now I'm a big DIY guy. Did my basement, did my studs, all this and that. I'm like, we need to really. We got to
reinforce all this.
I don't know if we got to call some kind of civil engineers to get here, finish this structure. Like something's going on. This shouldn't be wiggling like this. Somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, when you got that many people jumping around, it's wild. Yeah. But I think it is one of the coolest traditions in all of sports.
It is.
And yeah, like you said, it's some where you might not play it as much DJing, but when you hear it, especially when you're at a Badger game, it's just something else. It just puts chills.
It's definitely one of the tops. I love is it Virginia Tech that does Enter Sandman?
Oh, yeah.
That's a beast. Is it Alabama? Is it Alabama that does John Denver Country Roads?
No, West Virginia does. That's where Pat McAfee went. And then Tennessee has Rocky Top. There's a couple good ones. And Jump Around is up there as a top tier tradition. And then even Build Me Up Buttercup is like another one where you get the whole crowd singing that too. All right, so we're going to do, I was talking about Badgers and the locker room and everything like that. Here's a little quick question for you. So we're going to go from your Badgers team throughout the years. So it could be any year. And then from your years on the Giants. One player on the team that you would least want to date your sister.
One player on the Badgers team that I would least want to date my sister would be. Now he's married to my friend TJ Theus.
Who's just somebody I love TJ. He's awesome.
JC Jonathan Casillas.
Yeah.
He was bad too.
He was bad.
Yeah, those two.
All right, what about the Giants years then? Well, he played on the Giants.
Who? Jonathan Casillas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He finished his career at the Giants. Who I wouldn't want to date my sister on the Giants? Brandon Jacobs. Love him to death. So you go from
hyping him up, saying that he's a great guy.
For real. And that's the thing. Is like, not a chance, Brandon. Love you, Brandon. If you watching this, Brandon, I'm going to send this to you. Not a chance with my sister, Brandon. Because I actually think that he met my sister and asked about her. Not a chance, Brandon. Not a chance.
He asked right away, too.
Yep, he's not like, a chance. Not a chance.
All right. In your career, who was the hardest person that you ever had to block?
There's several of them. Well, one was just annoying. Was Clay Matthews. It was to where.
Oh, because you told me he would hammer down on your hands.
He hammers the hands and he headbutts you. And I would get stingers really easy. My neck was messed up. And we would be in the huddle and Eli would call a play and I would look to see who's over on the right side. I'm like, damn, Clay's there again. And I just knew it was going to happen. I knew exactly what he was going to do. I would lose all strength on my left side. So I was basically trying to block him with my right arm.
Yeah.
And it was impossible. And I knew every single time I would lose all strength in my left arm. And it would just basically go numb for a minute. I wouldn't get it back until after that minute was done. And then on to the next play. Julius Peppers was another one. Julius Peppers he'd extend his arms out right away. And his arms about 12 feet long. And I'm flailing my arms trying to get a hold of him. And then coach, we watched film the next day. And coach, Brad, what the hell are you doing? Coach, you try to go block his ass. See how easy it is then. Like, it's just some of these guys are just DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah.
Like, some of these guys are just, I mean, these are Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, these are guys that, and obviously you're at that stage to where in the NFL, so they expect the same out of you. But I'm like, coach, you out your damn mind. If you really thought that this was a good idea to put me head up with DeMarcus Ware. I told you, coach, I should have been in the damn slot catching footballs.
It's funny, though, because when you see that and you're watching, like, on Sundays, and they'll be like, oh, I don't know what they're thinking, letting a tight end take him on one-on-one.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah. And now
been there, done that.
Yep, you explain it. I'm like, yep, now I know exactly what the hell they're talking about. Because you're literally saying, you're like, I don't know what the hell they're thinking, let me do it one-on-one. So.
And then they get mad at me. I'm like, coach, you go try and do
You're
that.
like, our left tackle can't even do it by himself. And you expect my ass to do it? Like, what?
Like, coach, this man is 6'9", 280 pounds.
With a 7'3" wingspan.
And a half.
Yeah.
235 pounds, coach. What do you think is going to happen?
Who is the best hit that you've ever put on someone? Either from like a tight end, getting a good crack back on somebody, or from when you're playing linebacker.
Ooh.
You talked about it yesterday. Who you said you lit up OC?
No.
Or JPP?
Oh, yeah. So JPP did a great block. I didn't so he was head up. I didn't light him up. But it was a great block on him. And this was probably one of his first practices. And again, like, this was more so like welcoming him to the NFL, and then after that, he just kicked my ass after every other time. But no, there was, and the crazy part is, like, you think about it now, is that we have like the whole CTE thing, and you have when I was in the NFL, we were praised. On knocking guys out. Like, I would run down on kickoff, and I would lay guys out. Literally, they'd be out for 5-10 seconds and until they came back to reality. And that was all I knew. And I didn't know, like, that was when the concussion protocol wasn't a thing. And we called it like the ham of the week. You get praise. Like we watch film, we go back and forth. Like watching film, everybody's yelling in the locker room. Yeah, let's go. And little did you know, like the long lasting effect that could permanently have on somebody's life is extremely unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
And I never wish that upon anyone. Shame on me for not knowing, but you don't know what you don't know. And you look back at guys like Tyler Sash.
Yeah.
Tyler Sash was a safety that played at Iowa.
Yeah.
I played against him. I think it was my senior year, and he got picked up when I was with the Giants. He was on my Giants Super Bowl team, and Tyler was one of those guys that would literally be on kickoff, and his job was to run down the field and just blow up the wedge. There would be guys literally, and this is when they were able to link arms
yeah.
and just run. And Tyler was the one to blow it up. And then you get stuff to where it's after Tyler's done playing football, the guys still stay in contact, but the guy's like, oh man, what's going on with Tyler? He was engaged. I think he was engaged or married to a really pretty girl, and he just started acting out, like just getting in trouble with the police, and it just unlikely coming from Tyler. And the next thing you hear is that he kills himself.
Yeah.
And they diagnose his brain as third stage, like CTE, like it's full blown CTE, and it's like you don't know what you don't know, but these guys are, again, this is another thing when it comes back to the tunnel vision and being young and wanting to be a voice for these guys. Like, man, you have opportunities to do other things. You have opportunities to be great. I'm not going to steer you from a different path of playing football. I'm going to let my kids play football, absolutely, but at the same time, like, realize, like, man, like, because when I played, I didn't care how my body was after I was done playing football. I literally said, I will put my body on the line. I don't care if I'm in a wheelchair after I'm done playing football.
Mm-hmm.
But little did I know, like how painful, like even still till this day, like how bad my body is. And going back to the CTE, it's just like, you don't know, like these guys now, and it's just, it's extremely unfortunate because the guys are getting bigger, stronger, and faster.
Yeah.
There's going to be continuous, like Kevin Boss was a tight end with us. Great tight end. And literally he had to retire because he had 3 concussions during the season. And it's like, it's extremely unfortunate. And the worst part is when you have the opportunity to be so great, but something that's out of your control forces you to not be able to play. And that's how I felt about my career as far as the injuries. But yeah, it's extremely unfortunate. But again, I was praised to lay guys out. I would literally see guys, hit guys, and watch them go limp. And you see it now, and it's scary.
It is.
It's scary, and you never wish that upon anybody else. But yeah, I know they're trying to make a stance on it now and take that stuff away. And but again, with the guys being bigger, stronger, faster, now it's going to continue to happen. And
yeah.
So
I can't imagine how hard it is as a defensive player to make those hits that quick. And to obviously, like, the offensive player is still moving as you're trying to make the hit too.
Yeah.
So
it is tough. It's very tough. Like, some of these guys are getting low, and it's almost like if I'm leading with the shoulder, if I'm already going low, and then you decided to slide, and I run into you, like I do feel bad. I feel for the defense.
It's just got to be hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah,
it's so hard.
Yeah, and you know that they're so much more protective of the offensive players. So it's like, I would not want to be on that side right now. So. Well, anyway, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down.
I appreciate you, and I have a question for you now.
All right. We're going to flip-flop this interview.
So Linda.
Yes. She's very excited to listen to this.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her.
She told me to tell you that you were handsome when she saw the pictures of us that Dan took.
I'm glad you finally say that in an interview and don't actually tell me.
Well, I wanted to get it on record.
Smart man.
Yeah.
Smart man, you little dirtbag. So, say your mom's name is Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Mary has, and you are one of Mary's kids. Okay. Mary has 4 sons named North, South, West. What's the last kid's name?
It's Declan because it's my mom.
I literally gave you the answer. I just realized I gave you the
No,
answer
I've just
before.
heard that before.
But I also gave you the answer.
Yeah, because you were very specific. You said it's your mom.
I need to start. Man, normally when
You gotta get better at phrasing these
I
riddles.
use these on Coco, it works. Damn it.
She doesn't know how to answer them. So,
Damn it.
but seriously, I thank you for taking the time to sit down,
Absolutely.
talk, get this out to the people that obviously are fans of you in the Badger community, all of our friends from Wisconsin who might not know all of this other side for you. Coco's over here falling on the couch. We always have a dog on the podcast. It's usually Luna. I sat down with Josh the other day, had Ivy, and now we got Coco. So it's like there's always a dog on the pod. Well, me and Coco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But for you, following you on social media, I'll put all your stuff up.
Yeah.
Instagram is at Travis Beckum.
I love it. I appreciate you having me on. Obviously, I know that this is a huge passion for you.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And I think this is a good opportunity for guys to kind of get out and kind of vent and almost express themselves in a different way, to where it's almost like judge free. Because like I might have a different opinion and a lot of people might disagree, but there's probably somebody else out there that could be listening to this that could agree with me, or maybe going through some of the same struggles that I've gone through and they haven't been able to voice their opinion. And again, I think this is a great outlet, a great source for people to kind of get engaged with and be able to listen to in driving times or just when they need to hear somebody or need some kind of motivation. So keep up the good work, man. I know you're passionate about it. So keep grinding and be great, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, make sure you guys go follow Travis. Instagram is just at Travis Beckum. I'll put all the links up on there too. If you're following the show, at the Platform Mix on all socials, Instagram, Twitter, everything. These shows go out every Wednesday, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Make sure you guys are subscribing, leave some comments, get that algorithm going so that way this show gets a little bit more popular too. Share it with your friends. If you like those DJ mixes, we put them out every Monday from DJs all over the world, hour-long mixes for workouts, driving, your cookouts, all that kind of stuff. Follow me at DJ Dex MKE, and until then, we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you.
Peace. Check. Mic check. 1, 2.
Yo, is this thing on or what?